Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to today's Coffee Break Learning. I thought I'd pop my camera on and say hello to everyone today. Thank you all for joining us. I'm afraid you're stuck with me today where we look at some of the digital tools on the iPad to support and enhance learning and literacy. So the lovely Lisa is recording today's session if you want to look back at anything, and she is also manning the questions. If you have anything, please pop it in the chat. So I'll turn my camera off just now and start the screen share. So Lisa, can you tell me, can you see my keynote all right just now?
We can indeed.
So my name's McEachran. I'm a leader of learning with Glasgow's Improvement Challenge, and today's Coffee Break webinar is looking at the digital tools on the iPad to support and enhance learning and literacy. So what we're going to look at today are 3 different things on the iPad, maybe just a couple more throughout to see how we go on. So we're going to look at AirDrop and Markup. We're also going to look at the Pages app, and we're going to look at the Keynote app as well. Now, if you've tuned into the Apple Teacher Mondays, the Keynote and Pages Apple Teacher Mondays have already been, so you can look back at the videos of those, the recordings that are available on the remote learning site and the YouTube channel as well. So as I say, it's quite a lot of things to kind of cram into this session, but we'll see how we go on. And as I say, here to help as much as possible. So the first thing we're going to look at throughout this webinar today is also our digital literacy and computer science framework. So you may be familiar with this already. If you want to access this, when you go into your Glow Launchpad, and if you click on the GIC, the Glasgow's Improvement Challenge tile, you've got the option to go into the Literacy for All or Glasgow Counts tile. So you can go into either, and then you'll see that there is a button for the digital literacy and computing science framework, and you can access it there. It's a fantastic framework, lots of really good ideas, and it's very similar to the Glasgow Counts and Literacy for All framework, so it's laid out very, very similarly. So first thing we're going to look at is AirDrop and Markup and how we can use that in literacy. So if we look very, very briefly at the Literacy for All framework, so this is taken from the first level, Tracker 2, and looking at reading, so specifically tools for reading, and looking at how we can use visualisation and prediction in the classroom. And a way that I always love to do that was using images. So that ties very nicely into our digital literacy framework. Now I'll share this presentation as well so that you can look back at it whenever you like. So this is taken from the digital literacy and computing science framework, and you can see that I've highlighted a couple of the teaching strategies and approaches that could be bundled together with what we just looked at in the Literacy for All framework. So looking at how we can AirDrop work to children and also how they can use Markup. And if you look over to the right, you can see in the pupil resources section how we can use things like the camera. The first thing I want to look at is this website here. So you may be familiar with this. I've put a wee QR code there if you've got your device handy and you want to scan it. So it's called Once Upon a Picture, and it's a fabulous bank of images that have been collated. There's actually some questions that go with them as well. And there's a whole section dedicated to inference. So one of the images that we've got from the website is this here. So how could we use this in the classroom to develop visualisation, prediction, inference, while using the AirDrop and Markup tool? So I'm going to come out of this very quickly just now, and I'm going to go into my photos library, which is up at the top left, that kind of little coloured icon. And this is my image here. So if you have your teacher device and you have that image in your device, when you go up to the top right hand corner, there's a little kind of rectangular square with an arrow, and I'm just going to tap on that, and you can see I've got the option to AirDrop. Now you don't need internet for AirDrop, which is really, really good. So if the pupil's AirDrop is on, or even colleagues, if you were doing something like this with colleagues, you can just tap on each one and it will be AirDropped to them. So then we're going to look at a feature called Markup. Now, if you've had your out-of-the-box training with XMA, you'll probably be familiar with this, but that's an image that could stimulate quite a lot of conversation. without even talking about it straight away. You know, there could be lots of different ideas. It could be used in different areas. It could be used to create sound stories. It could be used for drama. It could be used for literacy as well. So much can be used from that one image. So if I go up to edit, which is at the top right hand corner, and you'll see there's 3 little dots at the top. So I'm just going to tap on those just now. And you've got the option to mark up. I'm going to tap on Markup. And you'll see the little palette that appears. Now that appears in quite a lot of iPad applications. So you've got things like a ruler, you've got a rubber, you've got highlighters, lots of things to play about with. But for this image, one of the things that I really like to use is the magnifier. So down at the bottom of the toolbar, there's a little plus. I'm going to tap on that just now. And you'll see you've got an option to add text, you can add signatures, you can add shapes, arrows, lots of different things. But if I tap on magnifier, you'll see a little circle appears in the middle of my screen. Now, if I just pull on the blue or green dots, I can make that bigger or smaller, and I can move it around my screen as well. So you can move it around, you can look at different parts of the image. And what that would be good for is, you know, if you airdrop that image to a child, they could use the magnifier to explore parts of the image. They can drop it by just tapping on the screen. And then they can use the pens aside, or they can go back to that little plus button and add in some text as well. And what they can do is, you know, annotate the image to talk about, you know, what do they think is happening, where do they think the image is taking place, who do we think is involved in this image, where could it be, do we know anything already, is there any clues in the image? So it's a great way of kind of annotating and getting children to work either individually or collaboratively, even though it might look slightly different when we go back in August. But that's what's great about the airdrop function. It can be airdropped out to devices, and children can then communicate their thoughts onto the image. So if they want to save the changes to that, they would tap on done, pop, and then done again, and that would save their changes. Anything they've kind of annotated or magnified on the image can be saved within there too. So I'm just going to go back to my keynote just now. So that is a way that you can use the airdrop and markup tools to infer from an image, to discuss it. Another way you could do this, I always love to use historical and topical images in the classroom. For little girl Ruby Bridges during the 60s, something that a class of mine before was really interested in. So again, this could be used in Keynote just as what we're using just now. And this image was actually black and white, but I found this the other day on the internet and it had been restored to colour, which I thought was quite interesting as well. So it could give them a kind of different way to look at it. But what they can do is in Keynote, they can add audio sounds to the image. So if they wanted to communicate what they thought about the image, what could they infer about the image, who do we think this is, how do we think she's feeling, who are these people surrounding her? If it was in Keynote, because you don't necessarily have this option in Markup, when you go up to the little plus sign at the top of Keynote, the top right hand corner, you've then got the option to record audio. So I'm going to tap on that just now. And then you would just tap on record and it would record your voiceover, and that would just insert straight into your image. So that's another way we can use Keynote as well for our images in the classroom. The next thing we're going to look at is the Pages app just now. Now, there's already been an Apple Teacher Monday on Pages if you want to ever go back to it and look at the kind of ways to navigate around Pages and the features. But we're going to look again back at the Literacy for All framework just now. Again, looking about character, setting, visualisation, prediction, and how does that tie into our digital literacy framework? So can children capture images? Can they reflect on their learning? Can they explain their thinking? What digital tools can we use to support this? So the first thing I'm going to show you before I go into Pages, and again, this might be something that you're familiar with already, there is an app on the self-service called Office Lens. It's down at the kind of bottom left-hand side. It's a little red icon. And what's really good about this is I don't know how many times I would find a paper copy of something, or I couldn't find it electronically, or I would have to type something up. So what's really good about Office Lens is when you go into this, it would open up into your camera just now. But what's really good about it is you can scan something. So you could scan a Word document and then convert it into a Word form just now. So I've got a little image that I've put in already. So this was sourced from the internet. I've just screenshotted it and I've popped it into Office Lens. So that's what it looks like from the internet. I'm going to tap on done. And then you can save it to lots of different options. So you can save it as a photo, a PDF, but for the purpose of today's task, I wanted to save that as a Word document so that I can edit it. So I'm going to tap on Word. It takes a wee minute. And then you can see it's transferring it just now. And when it's finished, if you tap on it, it will open it in whichever app that you've asked it to. So it's opened it up in Word just now. And then what you have, or what you should have, is a Word document that you can then edit. Now, obviously, sometimes that copy of the text looks a little bit blurred in some stages. So some of the text might be disjointed a little bit, but that doesn't always happen. So that is what I did for this next activity that I'm going to look at just now. So again, this is using the Pages app, which is a bit like Apple's version of Microsoft Word, even though there's lots more we can do in it. We're going to go right up to the top just now. So again, this is another way that you could use Pages to create some kind of activity booklets, or documents of work, or ways to allow the children to be creative. So for example, if we're looking at the BFG by Vodal, and you can see I've put a little picture of the BFG in there just now, but again, that's what's great about Pages. There is lots of kind of pre-made templates already. So that template was there. I could just pop the picture in. And when I scroll down, if we had, for example, read the previous chapter of the BFG, I might want to put a little video in there about what do we know already. So I'll play that just now. And again, this was just made on clips. So what do we know already about this character? We know he was wearing a long black cloak, and had a long thin trumpet, and also a suitcase with him already. So that could be to stimulate conversation with the children. And again, if you want to add anything to the page, that little plus button at the top is where you can add photos, videos, audio recordings, anything at all, drawings, whatever you would like to put in. So again, this could be something that the teacher maybe has made already. What's really good about things like this is if there are colleagues in your establishment that have done this, it's great to have a shared space to share all this, so that teachers can then, share practice, and takes a little bit of pressure off workload as well if someone's made something like this already. So again, this could be airdropped out, just the same way we looked at airdropping the picture out, and it would open into the pupils' devices as well. I'm just going to scroll down. So this is what I showed you a little minute ago. So this was taken from the BFG, the Snatch chapter, and this is what I meant when I took the Office Lens screenshot and converted it to Word. So this is what it looks like here. So we've got an excerpt of text that we can explore and read together, or read individually, whatever way we decide to do it. And just underneath it, I've got some questions and some ways to explore the features in Pages. So we've got an excerpt of text. The first thing we can look at is how we can use the define feature to find out the meaning of any words that we're unsure of. Now, obviously, we want to show children and demonstrate, we can look within the text for that. We can look for images, but it is just an option, and it is there as well. So when you tap on, for example, if I went to terrifying, I'm just going to tap on that, and you can see I've got my list of options within that. So that pops up in quite a lot of the iPad apps as well. If we're unsure, tap on define, and it should give me a little definition of that as well. We've got those built in within Pages. We've also got the comment feature. So I'm just looking at this purple box underneath, and it's point number 2. Use the comment feature to highlight your favourite piece of descriptive language and annotate on the note why this is your favourite. Now, this could be used in lots of different ways. This could be used in, just as the way it says there just now, getting children to highlight, to comment on what their favourite part of the text was, what was a really good description, or it could be used for teachers to provide feedback. So, for example, if they liked, let's just see, if they liked the flashing black eyes were fixed on Sophie's bed, they can highlight that whole section, and then they're going to tap on comment. And what they can do is add in a little bit of text there. So they can say why they liked it, they can say what words that really stood out for them, what did they enjoy about it, whatever it was. Flipping it on the other side, if that was a piece of writing that a child had written in Pages, a teacher could then use the comment function to add a little bit of feedback. So if I just put in test just now, you can see what happens is at the side of the writing, a little yellow post-it appears. So it means that it's really accessible for them. They can see that either the teacher has put a little comment there, or the teacher can see that the pupil has put a little comment there as well. So that will appear in the text. Another feature that you can use in Pages is to highlight. So, for example, you might ask them to read that extract and highlight words that mean the following. So to take hold of something, quickly remove it from its place. So seized, if you look at seized just in the last little paragraph. And again, that would just be highlight, and that would highlight the word there. So there's lots of features within Pages that can be used to analyse the text, to provide feedback, and also to support learners when they're accessing the text as well. And again, that could be something that you're continually working on as a kind of digital document book. So I'm just going to scroll down to the next section just now. So this is where children can become obviously very creative in the way that they respond to questions. So for example, how would you feel if you were Sophie and this had happened to you? Would you have reacted differently? Why do you think she reacted? Record a short audio clip. So the children can then record a little audio clip to pop into the digital document, and underneath using the camera function to record a video of reading aloud. So it's just giving you a different idea of what they can do. And again, that little plus button at the top is where they can do those things. So they can record the audio, and they can also add their photo or video, and that will just be popped into the document. You can manoeuvre it about wherever you like, and there it saves straight into the document as well, which is really good. So again, thinking how we would kind of further explore the text, looking at visualisation. So using the information from the text, and again, this may be a kind of progression of lessons. It may be over a week or so, or a couple of weeks, whatever we think, just to give us a kind of flavour of ideas of how we might use it. So using the information from the text and the annotations you've made, can you create your own illustrations to go along with the extract? You may wish to use your device to draw this, or use the camera to capture an image. Now, I am not very talented at all at art, so I would probably go for the second option of trying to draw and taking a picture of it. But what's really good is within Pages as well, we have the drawing tools. So if I go to the little plus button at the top again, and you can see we've got the drawing tool. And what will happen when I tap on that, we've got our little palette. Now you can see that rectangle's appeared above the text, but that's okay because you can manoeuvre that about afterwards. You can click on whatever one you would like to. You can change the colour, you can draw inside it, and when we're finished, we just tap on done. And then what you can do is move that into the picture as well, into the rectangle, sorry. So that is just a little flavour of how you might use Pages to explore texts and to give children different options to explore their creativity within that as well. So I'm happy to share that document if that would help in any way. And I understand that was a kind of very, very quick demo on how to look at it. But again, happy to help whenever I can. So moving on now and looking at Keynote, which is what I'm in just now. So again, Keynote is a bit like PowerPoint. There's lots of different features within it that make it, I would personally say, more accessible and allows you to be more creative as well. So again, looking at the second level tracker this time in the Literacy for All framework and looking at writing. So we know that when we are continuing that writing process with the learners that we're working with, we want to give them opportunities to plan, we want to give them opportunities to explore model text. And how does that relate to our digital literacy framework? Well, it can give them options to use different applications, to be creative, to use different software to capture images, sound, video, whatever it is. And again, this might be something that if our primary 6 and 7s who have the kind of one-to-one deployed devices, this might be something that you've done already with them, or it might be something that you choose to do with them. So if I was looking, for example, at planning for, say, report writing, say that was my focus, and obviously we would be looking at model text, we would be exploring the features of reports, we would be picking apart reports so that we understand what the purpose is. But Keynote is a great app to use because what it means is children can obviously create and plan at the same time. So for example, if you were exploring the moon, this is just one kind of slide just now, but this could be used over a period of a few weeks. And it may be that any time the child finds a new piece of vocabulary, like crater or rotate, that they want to obviously remember, they want to pop it into their planning to help them with that piece of writing at the end, they could do so. If they find a YouTube clip, you can see I've got a YouTube link up there that links to a particular clip that would help them with the report writing. They could pop that in. I've also got an image there, and again, that could be something that they've sourced online. They might want to pop that in too. We've got a newspaper article from the moon landing as well, and you can see I've got a little sound clip in there too. So it just gives you the option that children can obviously add sound to their Keynote as well. I'm going to try and go to full screen mode for this just now, because what usually would happen is the audio would play, but what you can also do is animate. So you can see that the moon's orbiting the Earth there. And it just gives them the option to add that in as well. So to animate something, you would just tap on it and click on the animate tool, and you can see you've got build in, actions and build outs as well. So the best thing to do is obviously to have a wee play about with it to see what works best. But again, that's just another way Keynote could be used to support planning, and it also allows children to be very creative and collaborative as well. Okay, so this Apple book here just now is called Elements of Learning, and you may be familiar with it. So what's very, very similar about Elements of Learning is it's some of the principles and elements of learning are similar to our principles of curriculum design. So we've got personalisation and choice in there. There's lots and lots of different really good ideas in which you can use different apps within the classroom, and how you can use it within your context and in your curricular area as well. And what I really love about digital technology is I think it doesn't just provide the learners with the opportunity to be creative, but it also provides the teachers as well to be creative, and that's what I've really found about it. So for example, the Glasgow Create the 30 Days of Create, and that QR code just takes you to their Twitter just now, has been great because we've seen lots of families, lots of children engaging in this, but also lots of teachers and colleagues, which is fantastic as well. And I think that's what's really exciting about it. So for me personally, how have I used it in my practice just now? Something I'm very, very passionate about is using film in the classroom. It's something I've always really enjoyed, and it's something that really engages me. And I know when I was young, it really engaged me as well. And that's something that I kind of played about with and thought, how could I use this to not only develop my own creativity, but also to reduce my own workload as well. And just going to show you very quickly. So this is something that I worked on the Keynote app. And again, it's looking at the 3 C's, colour, character and camera, and the 3 S's, sound, story and setting. And if you've been to any of the Literacy for All film literacy training, you'll know that that's what our training is kind of based upon, and it really breaks down, a film clip and gets children to think about it and how it's used and how it can develop lots of different skills. It's obviously very engaging for children as well, and I really thought about that, and I kind of played along with Keynote. This was all made in Keynote, and if you have seen very recently the Glasgow Council Literacy for All newspaper articles, you'll notice that all of that has been made on Keynote as well. And our most recent Glasgow's Improvement Challenge infographic has also been made on Keynote. So there's lots and lots of different opportunities for it for reducing workload as well. And what's really great about it, when you kind of play about with different things, so you can see I've got shapes in there, I've just got images, I've got texts. Up at the very top right hand corner, the three little dots. When you are kind of finished with your Keynote project, whatever it is you're working on, so say for example you were working on a film placemat or an inferential question card, whatever it is, when you export it, you can actually export it as a PDF. So again, that's what we've been doing for our content for the newspaper that the team have been creating as well. You can export it as PowerPoint, etc. But it just, for me personally, I've loved playing about with the app and thinking about the possibilities of using it in the classroom as well. So again, that's just a wee QR code that takes you to those wee placemats if you feel they would be any use to you. And I know I've kind of rushed through that today. So what I would say is this has been obviously a very overwhelming time for all of us. And I know, for example, that session was quite a lot crammed in. I was finding it hard to kind of cut it down. I think the best advice is really just to pick something small and really kind of work on it and not be overwhelmed by the technology as well. And we're very blessed to have fantastic colleagues within Glasgow and fantastic digital leaders who are there to support as well. So that is me for today. So I hope it was of use to you. And again, anything at all, just email or tweet or send me a message on Teams. So thank you so much for putting up with me today. And we've had to put up with me for every Coffee Break Learning webinar. We're very excited for tomorrow to have Sophie from Ross Hall. So she's going to be looking at digital literacy and creativity. And on Thursday, myself and my colleague Emma from the Leaders of Learning team will be looking at digital tools to support spelling, but using literacy for all approaches as well. So we've got a jam-packed week again, so we hope you have a lovely week and we hope to see you tomorrow and the next day as well. So thank you so much, and thanks to Lisa for recording and also for manning the comments today as well.